Velociduster. The Velociduster could be that car. Thanks to graphic artist Pistonzer, we have some renderings of what he calls the Velociduster. This is a fully equipped off-road truck. The Velociduster is unlike any other duster. We could say it was inspired by the Ford F-150 Raptor. It is a machine modeled after those that compete in Baja competitions. Thus, the car has a much wider body, large wheels, with tires intended for off-road driving, but also a suspension that suits its purpose. We see large suspension arms, shock absorbers from Fox, but also a lot of reinforcement. Also, the car appears to be built on a tubular chassis, similar to that used in competitions. There are various protective shields and metal rods, which are intended to protect the vital parts of the car. We also see a rigid axle at the back, and the author suggests that this car only has rear-wheel drive. The body resembles the pickup variant created by Romturingia, but much wider. The extra width is there to accommodate massive tires. The author used Audi RS Q e-tron. The Audi RS Q e-tron is an off-road competition car built by Audi under the e-tron battery electric sub-brand. It was specially designed to take part in the rally raids. An upgraded model, dubbed the Audi RS Q e-tron E2, won the Dakar Rally in 2024. The car is described as brutal to drive because of the sharp acceleration of its electric engine and the rigidity of its seats. Stefan Peter Hansel described the driving as a boxing match from start to finish during the 2023 Dakar Rally, raising fear of concussion for crews. 2 electric motors from Audi's Formula E program, one on each axle, for a combined power of under 288 kilowatts, 386 horsepower. Black Ops 4x4 CJ7. Sure, it sounds pretty fancy, but it really wasn't. My first 4x4 and first car was an '83 CJ7. My parents bought the Jeep new off the lot of Morgan AMC, Jeep in Durham, North Carolina. I still remember the day they brought it home. It had a few options from the dealership like a hardtop, 258i6, and a backseat. But what I remember more vividly was what it did not have. The Jeep came with a radio delete. It had a spots for a radio and speaker grills, but nothing there but plastic fillers and air. Over the years between 1983 and when I turned 16 in 1992, the CJ had been used and abused. It did eventually get a radio or two. Somewhere along the lines it was painted, going from the factory Olympic white to a Ford Fiesta red. Either way, the paint job was marginal, and the guys who did it not only sprayed the fiberglass hardtop to match, but did not paint inside the Jeep. So it was red on the outside and white on the inside, complete with the original fake denim vinyl fabric on the seats. No. Humetiv. The 2024 GMC Hummer EV is the brand's electric supertruck. What makes the nearly 5-ton EV pickup super? It has a host of hardcore hardware and up to 1,000 horsepower. That output applies to the tri-motor all-wheel drive configuration that also has a WTF mode, short for What to Freedom. The one we tested hit 60 miles per hour in 3.3 seconds, insanely quick for something this size. Its lengthy emergency stopping distance was less impressive. GMC touts a maximum driving range of 381 miles. The 570 horsepower dual-motor AWD model has a 311-mile estimate. Range is reduced with the extreme off-road package that adds 35-inch mud-terrain tires, beefier axles, and extra underbody armor. All Hummer EV pickups have a 5-foot box, a height-adjustable air suspension, rear axle steering, and Super Cruise, GM's hands-free driving tech. If you don't need a pickup truck bed, there's also an SUV. Mustang GT. Now in its sophomore year, the 7th generation 2025 Mustang continues the course it charted when it was born back in the 1960s. Deliver a thoroughly American take on the sporty coupe experience. Variety remains a key component of its success, with the 2025 staying available in varying levels of intensity from a 315 horsepower turbo 4-cylinder to a 480 horsepower 5.0-liter V8. Not to mention the edgier 500 horsepower Mustang Dark Horse. The latter two can be optioned with a 6-speed manual transmission to replace the stock 10-speed automatic, but the Turbo 4 is an automatic-only affair. The traditional fastback coupe and soft-top convertible body styles return for 2025, and it wouldn't be a Mustang without partaking in the celebrated American automotive tradition of special editions. The latest is the 2025 60th Anniversary Edition, which will be limited to 1965 units in reference to the year it was introduced, though it actually went on. Corvette 2022 concept. Other two-seat sports cars in the market have divergent personalities from the Corvette. Nissan's less expensive 2023 Z has less horsepower, 400 to the Corvette's 490, and a V6 instead of the Chevrolet's V8. Sure, a Ferrari F8 blows the Corvette away with a 710 horsepower V8, but it's also 3 times the price. Acura's NSX offers a two-seat Rockstar and a high MPG hybrid but has little cargo space. Jaguar's more traditional F-Type can't match the Vette's speed but is more luxurious. Other competitors include the Porsche 911, Mercedes-AMG SL, and Lexus LC. Powered by a 6.2-liter V8, the 2022 Corvette generates 490 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. Adding the Z51 package bumps it to 495 horsepower and 470 lb-ft of torque. A quick-shifting 8-speed automatic transmission turns the rear wheels. Speaking of the wheels, this car includes staggered 19-inch rims in the front and 20-inch Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato. You ready? I asked my 6-year-old, sitting in the passenger seat. With my right foot on the brake, he flipped the red cover off the starter button and fired up the Giallo yellow Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato. He's been in exciting cars before, some supercars even, but his face upon the Lambo's cold start was the happiest I think I've ever seen it. And I'm sure the same could be said for my own because that's what the Huracan Sterrato does. It makes memories, and it makes people happy. As a teenager, not only could I tell you the lineup of every exotic supercar maker, but I could tell you the horsepower, torque, 0 to 60 time, and top speed specs of them all. That's because they were all unique and interesting. Now, the only current Ferrari I can name off the top of my head is the Roma Glickenhaus Boot. Launching off the top of the hill, there's a brief sensation of weightlessness. A flashback to those youthful days of hitting jumps on a light, 2-stroke dirt bike, floating through the air and then landing with a blast of dirt from the rear wheel. In a blink, that memory was replaced with a harsh reality. I'm no longer 17, and this is going to hurt. 5,500 pounds of steel falling through space tends to make a hell of an impact. After all, wishing there had been a bit more yanking on the shoulder belts, I clenched my orifices and braced for a spine-crushing hit, which never comes. Instead, 37-inch tires and 18 inches of suspension travel catch me in a cosseting embrace, like a fluffy kitten falling into a down comforter. Quite the juxtaposition for something that looks like a post-apocalyptic doom. Rock Bouncer X. The all-new Rock Bouncer X chassis takes the place of our original Rock Bouncer chassis that we have been building for years. We have redesigned and reworked the chassis to upgrade many aspects of the original. As with the original Rock Bouncer, this chassis was designed with the hardcore trail rider and rock racer in mind. The Rock Bouncer X is made to satisfy the needs of someone looking to conquer the most extreme trails or obstacles. With the upgraded suspension capabilities, we can conquer harder trails, drive faster, and ride better than we ever could before. This chassis, like all wide-open design chassis, was designed with our experience of rigorous testing and designing vehicles that can push to their limits while being a reliable off-road platform. Many available options for the Rock Bouncer's components and configurations make this chassis platform the ultimate foundation for a 4x4 vehicle. Our heavy-duty, HD, design places 1.75 by 0.188 wall tubing in the high-impact areas where extra strength is needed. A chassis built entirely out of 0.120. Super Villain SX20 Hybrid. There's a new villain in town. The Segway Supervillain SX20T Hybrid is a side-by-side that delivers an astonishing 330 horsepower. Or, if you're feeling more like battling Batman than Superman, there's a non-hybrid model that will still give you a solid 235 horsepower. Segway entered the powersports market in 2020 and launched the Villain as the first hybrid UTV. Since then, it has added more gas models to the lineup. But the Supervillain takes Segway about a dozen steps ahead, with huge power from both its gas and electric power offerings. I'm starting with the hybrid, the Segway Supervillain SX20 Hybrid, because it's impossible to ignore class-leading power. It ignores the 1,000 cubic centimeters limit nearly everyone else sticks to with a 2.0L turbocharged parallel twin engine. The engine makes 235 horsepower all by itself. It comes with a 6-speed automatic attached in front of the engine and can run in 2- and 4-wheel drive. Because that's not enough power, Segway adds a hybrid system with a 7.9 kilowatt-hour battery pack and a 90